The Umbrella Corporation. Our business is life itself. This podcast episode is brought to you by nothing.
Try it for free.
So, I don't know how long you've been following this podcast, but I started doing this podcast. I started picking up this podcast in a different way when I no longer had the internet. Like, we got rid of the internet in our house, and we didn't have the internet for over a year and a half. So then we got the internet, and then now we don't have it again. And guess what, man? It's going to sound strange, but I love it. I like it. There's a lot of things that I like about it. There's some things that are annoying about it. But those things that are annoying about it are good for me. They're good for anybody, actually. Like, for example, there's a restaurant like 1.5 block, like 2 blocks away from here. They're small blocks. They're not big blocks. And this restaurant has, they leave their Wi-Fi on all night. And if I absolutely need to do something, like right now, let's say it's like almost midnight. What time is it over here? It's like 11 p.m. If I need to do something, I have to go over there. So I'll jog over there, and then I'll go do the thing that I need to do really quick on my tablet or on my phone, and then I'll come back. That sounds like ridiculous, right? It sounds annoying. Well, that's great. All right, you sitting on your ass or standing there in your hallway, whatever you do, right? I'm jogging. I'm running, right? To go use the internet. It's like, how sometimes, like in science fiction, no, you don't. But it's like if you have people powering the power plant with a bicycle, like that kind of thing. So I have to power the internet with a jog, or I can get on my bike and be there in about 1 minute. So that's what's going on. People around here where I live, they're losing their mind about the hurricane. And the hurricane, I went to the store last night. I think it was. Hell, the days are bleeding together. I went to the store last night, and the shelves were empty. I went to 2 grocery stores. I went to a Publix, a local grocery store, and then I went to a Walmart. And both of them, the bread aisle, all the bread was gone. And the water was gone. And, anything junky was gone. There was plenty of cereal. There was plenty of all the canned food. Like a bunch of the canned food was gone. They just left you the generic, like peas and potatoes in a can and things like that. So I don't know if we're going to stick around for this hurricane. I'm waiting it out. We're going to wait it out a little bit and see what happens with it. It could possibly go more into the ocean. I don't know, but it's a huge freaking storm. It's like the whole thing from like the edges of it to the middle. It looks like it's about like a quarter of the size of the United States. That's a big ass storm, man. So yeah, people. You're listening to this podcast, and you guys listen to this podcast, and I appreciate you. I know I always say that, but I appreciate you listening to this podcast. I don't know why you listen to this podcast. I probably would listen to this podcast if I wasn't me, and I was listening to this podcast, and I'm just going to ramble on, just rambling. But I've been playing gigs. My mariachi band is going well. That's going really good. I'm very happy with that. I have about, 20 mariachi songs under my belt now. And we got our outfits, and it looks great. And we started gigging, and that's going great too. Speaking of gigs, I do so many different kinds of gigs. I was thinking the other day about this one gig that I did. It was years ago, but I met this French dude. I'm not gonna tell you his name, but I'm gonna call him Pierre. And I met this French dude named Pierre, and he had a wife who was in the Navy. And this dude was an interesting guy. Like, he played the guitar, and he was into gypsy jazz, but he can play a lot of different kinds of stuff. And he had a shaved head, And if you looked at him, you wouldn't be like, "Oh, this is a French dude." Like he wasn't wearing a oh, what is that, beret or anything like that. Does anybody in France even wear a beret? No. Like if I go to France, that's what I'm gonna wear. I'm gonna wear one of those. I'm gonna wear a raspberry beret, ladies and gentlemen. So, I decided to do a gig with this guy. I'm like, yeah, we did a rehearsal or two. He was nervous about it a little bit. I go, don't worry about it, man. People are barely listening. And we were doing this gig. It was, there was this restaurant nearby here called Mossfire, and they used to have music upstairs, live music. And it was a good venue. It was a cool venue. And so the dude shows up to the gig, and he's acting like really weird. And he's sweating. And I'm like, you all right? Are you all right, Pierre? And he's like, yeah. And he's just like he's like sweating, and he sits down, and we start playing the gig. I think he showed up late too. I was already playing, and he comes in and he brings an amp. He sits down and he brings an amp and he plugs it in. He sits down and he starts playing he's playing like if there's mobsters chasing him and he doesn't want to tell anybody. Like he's just staring like kind of like down or out, and he's playing, and he's not playing much. He's playing like the same notes over and over again. And when I was on a break, I couldn't talk to him that much because a lot of people were talking to me. And then I couldn't figure out by the end of the gig, he tells me that he did like mushrooms and like hallucinogens and things like that. And you know what? I couldn't gig with him after that because it made my night awful, and it was difficult. And I was willing to do other kinds of gigs with him. I think I invited him to another gig, but not to a gig like that. Not one that was paying me money, or especially decent money. Like, I play in every kind of venue that you could think of. Old folks' homes, stages. I play for private parties. I have a stage show coming up, like these kinds of things. And I do a flamenco, and now I do mariachi, and I do like my original stuff. And anyhow, so I was playing this rest home, you could say. It was assisted living is the proper name for it. And I'm playing in there. Everybody's gray-haired except for the staff. And I'm playing this music that I'm playing, and I'm known, and people hire me to play the music that I play. And this lady, this old lady, like she looked like she's like 99. She's sitting up front in her wheelchair, and in the middle of my song, she starts going, "Play us a tune, sing us a song, play us a tune," over and over again. And then I stopped the song, and it got worse. And she'd be like, "Play us a tune, sing us a song." And the people that worked there, they were trying to quiet her down, but I was fine with it. She was making me laugh. A lot of musicians would be, how to put it, they would feel demeaned by that. Is that a word, demeaned? Yes, it is, Sam Harris. I just made it up, if it's not. So, but I don't see why. Like, people act like if you have a job, like waiting tables at Hooters, like that's less demeaning. Or like if you work in a movie theater, like you're going there and you're getting paid like $8 an hour or whatever. Like, how is that not demeaning? You're like sweeping up popcorn and shit. Picking up like kids vomit in the aisles because they were watching this one movie and took them on a roller coaster ride and they couldn't take it and they had too many gummy bears. So yeah, I don't feel that way at all. Some gigs I like better than other gigs. So, when I'm in these crowds, I live here in the South, and it trips me out how when I'm playing somewhere and I'm clearly playing like flamenco or Latin music, it happens to me pretty often. Somebody will come up to me and be like, any Chet Akins? I'm like, what the fuck? Do you see what I'm doing? Do you see how I'm dressed? Do you see how the people I'm playing with are dressed? What do you mean Chet Akins? Like, I don't know some Chet Akins. Is that dude like, is that some sort of code? Is he trying to tell me something? Like, because obviously you probably don't know Chet Akins. It'd be like if I walked up to him and I'd be like, do you know Suavemente by Elvis Crespo? And he's playing the banjo, right? That would be like ridiculous, right? Why does it seem like more ridiculous? Does it seem more ridiculous if I do it like that? than him doing it to me. But here's another gig story that happened to me. Watch. I was playing. This guy from a radio station around here hired me to. He didn't pay me yet, right? But he hired me to play for this venue. He was kind of elusive about it, the venue. But I got it out of him. He said it was for a pawn shop, for his friend's pawn shop. And just to play out front in the pawn shop. So anyway, the day comes and I get there, and he already has a DJ out there, and he has another performer coming on there after me. And this pawn shop is sitting on the corner, like almost under a freeway underpass. So it's like sitting on the corner facing cars. So he wanted me to set up and sit there like facing the cars in the corner. And that was one where I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that. And the guy got furious, right? And I was like, hey, I'm not going to do it, man. And he started threatening me and all kinds of stuff. And I'm walking away with my guitar case. And when he got like that, that made me even more decided that I was not going to do it. I'm like, well, you're on top of that. You're being an asshole. So I'm really not going to do it now. You're threatening me with like talking about suing me. I don't know what he's talking about. You're never going to work in this town again. Man, whatever. Even if I don't work in this town, I'll have to move. What are you going to do? You won't have any flamenco guitarist in the city. No more mariachi for you, right? Honestly, I really do think that if I were to move from the city, that it would lose more than I would lose from it. Is that an arrogant thing? Can I say that? Because like how many people play flamenco in the city? Like let's say 3 maybe at the most. How many people play flamenco where you can go and get paid? Somebody will pay you to do it because it sounds like somebody can pay you to do it. Well, I'll let you answer that question if you live locally. How many mariachi bands are there? Huh? So, anyway, it probably makes me sound like an ass. But you know what? If you think that I'm an ass, you probably already want to think that I'm an ass. And you probably already think that I'm an ass, right? So I'm not going to change anybody's mind. I could be saying the most righteous things like the whole way through, and you would find something and you'd be like, that dude is an ass, man. That dude Goliath, man. You know, I know how you are. I know how you people are. Not all of you. You know, some of you are really cool. Anyhow, so this pawn shop thing. So I leave, right? And I felt good about it, but I felt bad that I didn't play. Like I felt bad that he was going to play. I told the guy, look, man, you got other acts. You got the DJ there. All the cars passing, they won't care who's up there. They're not going to listen. They're not going to hear. What, with their windows up? You know, it's Florida. You know, people have their windows up and they have the AC on. They're not going to see me up there, one dude with a guitar playing and singing. So the guy starts calling me on the phone. And he calls me like with another person on the line. And he's saying that it's his lawyer friend. And all that stuff. I don't remember exactly what happened. I think I got so mad that I blanked out on it. And I must have yelled at him on the phone. I know. I'm pretty sure that that's what happened. I yelled at the dude on the phone. And I don't know. I don't think I said, don't ever call me again or something like that. Maybe I said that. But I feel like I said something more like, if you call me again, we're going to have a problem. You know what? I don't want to say what I said just in case I might incriminate myself. But, you know, I'm not a violent person. I don't resort to violence. I'm confrontational when it comes to truth and justice. Like, I'm confrontational when it comes to being honest with each other. Right? I'm confrontational when it comes to being honest with myself. I'm confrontational, which is basically with that. It's hard enough to get honesty out of people and honesty from yourself. And but I'm not confrontational. Like I'm not trying to get into fights, you know, or anything like that. But there is this side of me that I don't know. You know, I've never been in a fight. But there's a side of me that I just don't know. Like when the switch is flipped, like anybody, I imagine that you can, who knows what you'll do, right? Like, and let's say, for example, how the fuck did we start talking about this? Oh yeah, the pawn shop thing. Let's say, for example, somebody comes up to you on the street, right? And they have a small knife, right? Or let's say somebody comes up to you on the street and they try to mug you or they try to choke you. Or they just threaten you. They don't show you anything. They don't show you a weapon. How much force are you supposed to use with that person? Like, are you supposed to like take your key out and like slash their, like stab them in the throat? Are you supposed to punch them? Are you supposed to? It seems that you should incapacitate the person, but who's thinking like that? You have to be. I figure you would have to be ready, in the sense that you're not necessarily. You don't want to. Nobody wants to kill anybody. Oh, if you do, like you're a little bit. You got to go see somebody, but that would seem the way to go. Like if somebody attacked you, you're trying to incapacitate. You don't know what the person has. You don't know what the person can do with a knife. You don't know what if you decide to be nice, right? And the person ends up killing you, right? You end up being nice by not going to the extreme. Anyway, ladies, I'm sorry. Ladies and beta males, as they call them, as you call yourselves, if you call yourself that. Ladies and sensitive guys, I apologize for talking about these kinds of things. But I think that we don't talk about these kinds of things enough. I think that there's too many violent movies and there's violent video games and the violent things are not talked about. Why can't we talk about violent things, even real violent things that actually can possibly happen to you? There's no alien and no zombies are going to come after you, okay? But it's very possible that somebody can mug you. It's happened to me. I was fortunate, and they didn't get away with anything. And but I'll tell you, what the fuck am I talking about even? I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. You know what? So my gigs and the pawn shop thing, that was kind of embarrassing. And I felt bad for the dude. I felt bad for the dude because he was because he thought it was a good idea to face people at traffic that is almost under an underpass of a freeway. I'm like, dude, what the hell are you doing, dude? It's like the DJ is it. He's got these big speakers. He's DJing up there. This Puerto Rican dude, he's got like that hair cut that is like, it looks like it's chiseled. It looks like it's drawn on in his head. And he's got the eyebrows, like, like some spaces in the eyebrows, like some sculpture going on there. That was it, man. That's the move right there. You don't need me. Obviously, I was making pretty good money and I didn't have any kids because I walked away from that, and I think it was a couple $100. So, so that's it. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. It's that kind of a thing. Like it's that kind of a podcast, apparently, where I'm just telling you all this stuff, and you probably stopped listening like 10 minutes ago, and I'm just talking now. But if you stopped listening 10 minutes ago, you don't know that I'm talking about you. You that stopped listening. You are a piece of shit. I'm gonna tell you right now. It's like you smell, as a matter of fact, and you're dirty and you don't wipe correctly. I'm just kidding, man. I love you. I love you all. And so the hurricane is coming, and we might go. This might be the last time you hear about me, actually. No, it's not funny, actually. It's not funny. People have died in Barbuda. How do you say that name of that island? It's hitting the islands right now. It's coming up. It feels kind of like Game of Thrones, like the White Walkers are coming. Everybody's like preparing. Winter's coming. Irma is coming. The hurricane is coming. And my wife, she liked the last hurricane last year because the power went out and all the neighbors came out Everybody becomes human and they get off of their phone and their computer and their television. Because let's face it, that's what people are doing. So, and they start, looking and talking and seeing. You see your neighbors. People start walking outside, and especially after the hurricane, when it's cleanup time, you actually have a neighborhood, and then everybody goes back to their zombified cocoons. When I'm speaking, I could say whatever I want, and it's okay. The English is okay because you have inflection and you know what I'm talking about. But I'm still self-conscious about it because maybe because I'm Latino, Chicano, Hispano, whatever you want to call it. Me, I don't call it any of those things in my mind. But you have people are just there's always a good thing that comes from these bad things, and it seems in our society it seems to express itself in community, and that word gets on my nerves because it's overused and it's like very used. It's like a used condom, like on the street, on the floor. My wife thinks it's funny that I say floor for the street, porque en el piso. When it's the ground, she goes, "It's the ground." It's funny you say the floor. It's the ground. All right, fucking fine. These people, they're always correcting everything all the time. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what are we? Are we in Germany right now? I think a couple of podcasts ago, I said that millennials are making the United States like Germany because everybody's correcting each other all the time. If you want to hear me talk about that, just go back a couple of episodes. I think you should probably hear some mariachi music. What do you think? I think you should. I could maybe play you the demo that I send to the guys so they could practice. They could practice along to it. Maybe I'll play it later. I'm still learning Python. I got to tell you, I'm becoming more and more familiar with the language. I'm not an expert or a novice, even expert by far, novice. I'm getting there. And it's interesting. It's interesting, man, because if you're learning a different language, I like it. I like that part of it. It's like learning how to read music because you're reading it. And I'm learning about languages also. Like I'm learning about proper languages, or shit, I don't remember the names of them. But one of the languages is, I don't remember the name of it. That's what I think about language. One of the languages is like, let's say it's a proper, I think that it was called proper language, is where the words don't have any ambiguity. And the symbols, the word symbols, or whatever symbols you're using, don't have any ambiguity. They mean one thing, and that's what they mean, always. And there's a certain order to them. And then you have the other kind of language, informal language, I think that's what it's called. And that's like we're speaking and we're talking, and there's all kinds of flexibility and ambiguity to it. And you could fix what you're saying later on in your paragraph, if you're writing it or if you're talking it. So I'm learning those kinds of things, but I just got to tell you, it's something that I'm doing about maybe 20, 30 minutes a day. Sometimes 45, but I would say 20 to 30 minutes a day, every day. And when I say every day, that means almost every day. Okay. Jeez. Because, come on, we're not machines and things come up. You gotta do things, but daily, when you commit to doing something daily, that's what it means. You do it like 90% of the time, no matter what, right? Unless you just can't. So who knows where this is going to lead me as far as like programming, right? I used to call it coding, but apparently that gets on my nerves now. So because it sounds like I don't know, but programming is what it is. And I'm still shy to tell you, even though I told you the last time that I'm working on a book, and I have no idea how this is going to go. But I'm like, I'm either like 35,000 or getting near to 40,000 words in to this book, and it's the same word over and over again. I'm just kidding. But you know that, right? It says this is not The Shining, but it's going, and I don't want to talk too much about it not because I think I'm going to jinx it or anything, just because I need to shut up already. I've been talking to you for this long, and you've been listening to me, and if you had a podcast, if you have a podcast, if I know you and you have a podcast, I guarantee you I will listen to your podcast. But you know what? Fucking nobody has a podcast. Like, and I know some pretty brilliant people. Like, just to name one that I talked to just recently, like his name is Casey. This dude, I think he could have a great podcast. But I don't know. People, it depends on your career. Like if you're a professor or things like that, you got to be careful about what you say. Me, life is great. I can pretty much do whatever I want, and we live in a cool place, and I play music for a living, and so life is great, right? What more do you want? Somebody asked me about money the other day, and we were talking about living, cost of living, and whatnot. Oh yeah, it was my brother-in-law, and he said to me about money, what would you do if you won the lottery or something like that? And I told him, you know what, man, my life wouldn't change very much if I did win it. You have to be grateful if your life can be much worse, but if it can't get too much better. Like the things that would change is I would travel a little bit more with my family, but I still wouldn't travel that much because I'm a pretty stable person. Like my creativity requires stability and groove. It requires that it requires me to live in a place where I know that I can walk in the dark, right? Because I know it that well. Because everything else has to be automatic. I have to be lost in my mind when I need to be. So other than that, that would happen. We would get medical insurance. We would travel more. We'd get medical insurance. I would help my family out however I can. And what else? I would buy a little bit better quality food more consistently. I would buy the best food that I could get my hands on, period. Almost not caring what it costs. I would make more albums because I would be able to pay a producer that is good to help me make those albums. See, I can make sounds and make music all day long and produce. I can produce a bunch of that stuff, but I don't want to sit there at the computer and edit this stuff. And I do it because I have to, but that's not my gig. When it comes to music, it's something that I do, and I do it out of necessity. But that production, that's a whole different job. It's an entirely different profession. And but that's another thing that I would do, and I would hire musicians that I wanted to play on it. I would hire an artist to work on the cover, and because I had a bunch of money, if it didn't make any money, I wouldn't care. I just wanted to produce this thing, but it probably would make money. It would be a labor of love, and I would put a lot into it. And I haven't worked with too many talented people until recently. It makes life easier. It fills the sound out without me having to fill it out. And I think part of the reason for that is that, what, you're getting bored? I'm sorry. Kiss, kiss. You know what? I'm gonna shut up soon. But I think part of the reason for that is that I've had to make a living. Now, I haven't had to. I chose to make a living as a musician. So playing as a soloist, I take all the money. You see what I'm saying? And gigging as a musician, unless you're a soloist, and you're international or national. You know what? Even national people, I know national bands, they don't even make any money. They're waiters. How crazy is that? But we're cool as fuck, dude. And we have a bunch of likes on our Facebook page. I'll tell you one more thing about writing. I'm going to tell you about writing actually on the next podcast, because I don't want to tell you right now. I'll tell you in the next one. I'll make a note of that to tell you the next one. If I forget, tell me. You know what? Tweet me and tell me, hey, remember to make a podcast about writing. So, there are the things that I've learned about writing. So, what the fuck was I going to tell you? The thing about writing. God damn it. What was I going to say? Is it getting late? Getting sleepy. The thing about writing is that you can't go. This is not what I was going to say, but I'll just go with this. There's different kinds of energies. Like I have an energy when I'm going to work out, right? And I'm going to jog and run, and you get amped up, right? That is not the energy. I don't know how it works for you, but that is not the energy that I go into writing with. That gets the wrong energy. That's going to mess me up. The energy that I need to go into writing is with a little bit of doubt, a little bit of panic, and a lot of just pushing forward through fear and panic. Just pushing through it. Oh yeah. Look at this. This probably sucks. Yeah, keep going, right? And it works itself out. But yeah, that amped up, like I'm gonna do this, and it's gonna be the best, and it's gonna be awesome. That is not the kind of mindset that you want. Anyway, for me, it's not the kind of mindset that works for me when I'm gonna go write. I have to get myself out of that mindset. Let's say I worked out, and I catch myself sometimes going, "Yeah, no, I'm gonna write later, and it's gonna kick ass, and it's gonna be awesome." And I could say it like a Valley girl, like I'm gonna write later, and it's like totally gonna kick ass. And yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. This is where I'm at 34. I'm at like 30 minutes talking to you about these things. I know, you know what? As soon as I can get to making a produced podcast, like with like a story behind it, like a made up story, like because I have some older episodes like that. If you want to check them out, just go way back. And in the atlanticradio.blogspot.com. That's atlanticradio.blogspot.com. My mariachi website is at Goliath Flores. It's at goliathflores.com/mariachi Jax, JAX. So, you know what? Also, if you would like to donate to the show, you can do so at atlanticradio.blogspot.com. One more thing. I know I said I was going to shut up. I was going to let you go. We ran into each other at the grocery store, and here I am. I'm still talking. This fucking dude just will not shut up, and I had to leave. I have to go. And this dude keeps talking to me. Don't you know? Don't you have any? No, I don't. Okay. As a matter of fact, sit down. I'm gonna go to aisle 6 and grab some duct tape, and I'm gonna tape you to your fucking shopping cart. I'm gonna sit you in there. But I got this idea. I don't have a Facebook, right? I don't plan on getting a Facebook. My life is probably gonna be ruined because of it, because I don't have a Facebook and I don't want to get a Facebook. If you want to know why I don't want to get a Facebook, just go look up the dude Richard Stallman and look up why he doesn't have a Facebook. Same reasons as me, except he's already written it all out for you. So I don't have that going. I have a Twitter, but people don't really use Twitter the same way that they use Facebook. So I'm thinking about making, if it's cost effective, it could be a color cover and black and white on the inside, like a 10-page, like a 12-page, or maybe an 8-page magazine, right? Like a folio type of thing. And it would basically be called Goliath Monthly. And there's more to it. It would obviously, if you know me, it would be funny. Meaning that I would be making fun of magazines too. I make fun of everything, man. I make fun of everything. Nothing is sacred from humor, comedy. And if you think that something is sacred like that, then we're probably, usually you and I, we're not going to get along. Because you're looking for judgment. Yeah, let's go down that negative path, Goliath. Let's talk about negative things like that. Negative people. But I got to tell you, some of the most awful people that I've met are like spiritual people. And I'm not saying some of the best people that I've met are like spiritual, quote unquote, spiritual people, but some of the most awful people that I've met, and they're not awful on the surface, they're awful in a really like hard to detect way. Like they'll cut people down in certain ways. And I've seen it. And I've had those kinds of tactics. People have tried to employ them on me. Fortunately, whatever's going on in my mind just dodges those kinds of things like it was an arrow that was coming at me, and I saw it, and I just moved to the side, and it just went, it hit somebody else behind me. Probably hit someone. Okay, I gotta go. Ahí te veo. I'll see you, and thank you for listening. Donate to the podcast, atlanticradio.blogspot.com. This episode has been brought to you by UUndies. UUndies are the most uncomfortable pair of underwear you could buy, but they're cheap, okay? And they get holes in them really easy. And they turn yellow, like all over. But you can go ahead and buy them like 100 for like $3. And they smell. And that's it. Enjoy yourselves. And the hurricane's going to happen. I probably won't podcast again until the hurricane is over. But it's the heart of Tahiti, the heart of Tahiti, baby. Ahí viene the, I don't even know what I'm talking about. I think I'm sleepy. Chao. Como dice Walter Mercado, y mucho, 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 mucho amor.
Solo sin tu cariño voy caminando y no sé qué hacer. Y el cielo me contesta cuando pregunto por ti, mujer. No he podido olvidarte desde la noche que te perdí. Dudas de duda y celos solo me envuelven pensando en ti. Deja que yo te busque y si te encuentro, vuelve otra vez. Mientras yo estoy dormido, yo voy soñando que vamos muy juntos a un cielo azul. de aquella triste